Well, it's good evening in the West, and good morning in the East, and good afternoon other places. But welcome. It came to my attention during our COVID quarantine that many of us haven't been able to travel. And going to the Samadhi is top on the list of so many Baba lovers. But I realized that we can go any old time. And it really is fortunate that our memories and our closeness with Baba allows us to travel and actually be present there. And so the purpose of these monthly meetings is to do what some people have called a guided meditation. I guess we'll find the right language, but it's just to remember what it's like to be there. So I guess we'll just get started and say this is it's a hot day. It's probably sometime in the autumn, and we are having been to Artie and had breakfast. This is a second trip back to the Samadhi. And on this particular day, I find myself walking up the hill and preparing myself and hoping for some quiet time in the Samadhi. I'm hoping that maybe I'll be able to be one of the 6 who gets to sit in for a while. And as I'm looking around and looking at the trees, and just as the hill is steep, I notice some of the rickshaws that are bringing people in off to the right, and just a few people milling around. I see people on the mandap, and I'm quieting my mind and connecting with Baba as I'm taking off my shoes and getting ready to walk under the sheltered place. But then I think, well, wait a minute. I think I need to start with Merrill. And so I walk over to her tomb and spend some time there and notice the beautiful flowers that have been so lovingly arranged. And I just think about her love for Baba. And it's quiet because it's the Samadhi. And I can be alone in my thoughts and really tune into what it was like for us to be able to have access to Mara, some of us in person and some of us through videos and lots of stories. And I look around, and then I think, well, my heart wants to go and visit Mani. So that's what I do. I walk over and I look, and I think I'm going to spend some time and just think about what it was like being the sister of God, and how Mani just gave and gave to us over her many, many years. And it helps my mind begin to quiet as I'm thinking about these women, Mandali. And then I think, well, I'm going to go and look inside the tomb. There's really not a line. And actually, with great fortune, I'm able to go in, and there I step over and in, and it's cool. quiet. There are 3 other people there, and they're sitting. And so there I am with the beloved. And I read the words that start, eternal beloved. And I look, and there are the textiles, the beautifully arranged. They're clearly flowers. And I have a chance to bow down and realize there's no place like this in the whole world. We are the chosen in this time, in this place. Baba lovers are so fortunate to know Baba. We feel so loved and blessed, and to be in Merrill at the Samadhi is it's the pinnacle. But right now, it's just time to be with our beloved.
The Arthurian people, Pleiadian people, and the Syrian people came to this world to teach and give.
So I guess they'll edit that out. And so now I, like you, am into my own silence. I find a place, happens to be the left hand side, right in the front row. And I settle in, knowing that Baba is there. And so I'm going to let us all just be with Baba. And I'll probably estimate about 10 minutes. And we're just experimenting here. And you can mute us if you want to just stay there as we break out. We're going to just spend some time in the Samadhi, looking at Helen Dom's work.
I guess you began meditation already?
Yeah. We're meditating in the Samadhi, Merrill.
Okay, I'm going there too.
Would you like some more quiet time in the Samadhi, or we could share some of what happened today with Baba or other times in the Samadhi? I'm open to your suggestions, and if certainly you can turn off the sound if you want to just stay in the Samadhi and look around and be with Baba.
I did find that video, Gayle, of Jane Brown singing the Bujawi Arti and showing the Samadhi.
Yeah, well, let's watch that, and anybody else can stay in their own Baba world. And but I think that's a good thing.
I apologize. I didn't think you could hear me. I was just finding it. But so, okay, let me cue it up. Let's see.
Matu हमारा ना खुदा आए मेर बाबा शेनी के बात हमारा ना खुदा आए मेर बाबा शेनी के बात
The Arturian people, Pleiadian people,
Let's see, you're muted, Gayle. You're muted.
Thank you, Betty. That was really, really special. There are 5 of us, and that means we easily fit into the tomb together, and no one is pressing us. There's that one extra seat, so we don't feel any pressure. We just get to spend time with the beloved. I get really choked up when I read the simple words starting with eternal beloved on the tomb. Probably I'll share something at another time about that. But I guess just in brief, I had the good fortune to spend 5 months in India from the fall of 2014 to maybe February the 3rd of 2015. No, that's not right. Anyway, the year's wrong. But during that time, I had an ancestor visit me, join me. My great-grandfather visited me, and he was with me really the whole trip, the whole 5 months. And he asked me what it said. He didn't know how to read, and he wanted to know what it said. And I taught him to read in those 5 months. And he went on to another Baba family. It was quite an amazing experience. I don't know if anybody would like to just be quiet, but if you'd like to share some experience at the Samadhi, go ahead.
What a beautiful story, Gayle. I've never heard anything like it.
Yeah.
You recognized him as your great-grandfather, did you say?
Mhm.
Great-grandfather. Oh my
He
goodness.
fought in the Civil War, and he was wounded in Gettysburg. And he was a Virginian. He was on that side.
Mhm.
And he lay on the battlefield for 3 days. And Jesus said, "You got to come. It's your time." And he said, "My mother will not survive it. I'll do anything, but I've got to go home to my mother." He had left at 14. She thought that he would be best to go with his older brothers, and another brother had already died. And he made a bargain that he would have to pay later. He didn't know what. And he lived He took care of her until she was 40 and died, and he married and raised a family, and he died on the baby's 21st birthday. And that was when the bargain came due. And it was explained to him that he was to help souls who had not made the transition, make the transition. He could be anywhere in the world, and he chose to be at the Little Stone Church in Virginia. He didn't want to be on the farm. That was too hard. But people came to the Little Stone Church, and I mean a Little Stone Church. And the first person who came was scared him to death. It was a Union soldier, and he knew what he had to do, help the men make the transition. And he told them that you died in extreme circumstances, and you need faith and family. And there's another F. And he thought he was to be there forever. He thought that was the bargain. But over time, and that was in the 20s, it was his time to move on. And he and I got to help him make that transition. It was just an amazing story. And he was all about Baba. Oh my goodness. He went on and on about Baba. He was just all about Baba, but he was very frightened to move out into the world because he never learned to read. His siblings did, but he went to school one day, didn't like it. They didn't make him go back. And I could see in hindsight that he learned a lot of skills by staying home on the farm. But when he went all around the Civil War, he didn't know where he went because he couldn't read. And so, but he had helped people in Afghanistan. He had helped soldiers of all kinds make the transition. And so that was one of the most powerful experiences I ever had. And my suspicion is that he is a young boy in Australia with a young couple that I met. He said he liked the Australians. And he was torn up about the poverty in India. He was just torn up. But not long after, a young man named Merrill, I suspect that and he left for a little bit and came back, and then he left for good. So I guess certainly that was my most powerful experience, but had a funny experience. I was being there a long time, you take on service roles, and I was gave prasad. It was one afternoon and it was super quiet, probably a 1 to 3 shift or something. You'd get to see Alan Wagner come and sing in the afternoon. But I mean, it was super quiet. And a little lamb ran up the right-hand side and started eating the flowers off of Mara's grave. And you never know what you're going to do when you start screaming at the Samadhi. And I looked over at the guards and I said, need a little help here. And I was like, I was just kind of frozen. And I realized how welcome that would have been. It was just such an odd thing to have happen. And I realized it was perfect and wonderful. But they came over and issued the little lamb off. But that was, it was a special time. And I felt like Mara loved it. that she absolutely was happy to offer her flowers, and she smiled, and that was another. And then I'll offer one more. The first time I went to India was like 2006, 1 year and 1 week after I heard about Baba the second time. I was in India, and I was sitting outside, not, just kind of waiting to, no, I was in the tomb. And there might have been 3 of us in there. And I realized that Heather and who would it have been? My caregiver would have came in. And it was the first time that she had left the hospital. She had just come back from the hospital, and I backed out. I felt that she needed to be there with Baba. And it was probably, I'm thinking 9 o'clock in the morning, because it was my habit not to eat breakfast, but to stay after Arti. And so I just sat and watched, and the staff, the residents at Merrill came to the Samadhi to worship before their assignments, wherever they were going to go off, and they were lined up. And one by one, at that time, they were entering from the right-hand side. So one by one, they would turn and face the Samadhi and realize that it was Heather and burst into tears, but very quietly. But because nobody knew what was going on, it happened over and over. They burst into tears, and went in and came out and just sat and sort of rocked themselves or watched the others. And that was a really, that was my first trip. That was a very powerful experience to realize that she, because some people, of course, had seen her if they had gone into Pune or something, but she clearly, the first place she had been when she came back, I guess she was with Shelley. And I felt very, very privileged to watch people's gratitude in seeing her where she had been longing to be. So I'll just open it up, and you can raise your hands if you'd like to share anything about the Samadhi, your time in the Samadhi, because Baba has been so gracious with us, allowing us to be there.
Wow, powerful stories, Gayle. My goodness. Whew. I have a little story. My family all went to India together, and Dave and I were having kind of a tough time. I felt for all the Pilgrim Center folks, it was like we were airing our dirty laundry there in the Pilg PC for all to, see. Bao was tremendously supportive. And he would tell us, I want to see lots of hugs and kisses. Mommy and Daddy, he would say, and he'd hug us both and make us be together and say, Mommy and Daddy. Lots of hugs and kisses. He was wonderful. So anyway, at the time we were there in August through September, 2 festivals happened at the same time. Muharram for the Muslims and a Ganesh festival, which I forget the name of, where it was about, and they threw colored powder on it. They did parades. It was sort of fervent, and they were both in the streets, and it kind of exploded into violence is what happened. They There were even some killings. I think they just were so fervent and with their respective celebrations that so they declared martial law. They wherever we were, if we were if some were at Vilus, and if we were at the Pilgrim Center, we had to stay. There was no going back and forth. The army came out to sort of maintain order, and we were at the Pilgrim Center. And so this relates to the Samadhi because I realized that there will be no flowers for morning arti because there was no delivery of flowers. There was no way to get them. So Dave and I went out with this old beat up straw hat and picked. There were little marigolds. We made this funny little homemade garland and went. And it was the only garland on the tomb when we went up there. But it was significant for us. It was good. It was good that I felt like it was just our little contribution to Arti. And I remember Rhoda, she was aghast that we would use this old beat up hat. You must find something nicer than that. And I think that by the second day, there was beginning to be, there were flowers again, but for that day, it was just us and it was just our little garland on the tomb. So that's a little story.
Well, it's a big story because you, in that circle of flowers, you and Dave circled up and stayed together.
Definitely.
And Baba loved those flowers. Baba received those flowers as if they were from the fanciest place in Pune or Mumbai. He realized the love in those flowers and the desire to have flowers on the tomb. And you had what you had, and they were beautiful in Baba's eyes. And Baba used those flowers to keep that family together.
It's so true. It's so true. It was so very healing space, the tomb. We would, yeah, definitely. At one point, really, we took our rings off and I had a heck of a time getting mine off, put them on the tomb and sort of recommitted to our and here we are, still together.
And who's to say what's not a beautiful flower? And I do understand Rhoda's point of view. You know, there's never been a time when the flowers weren't lovingly and beautifully placed. And that came from the women mandali. That was modeled is we put our best, but that was your best. That was your best, and Baba used those flowers. So that's a really powerful story. And, you know, we get what we need in the Samadhi and take it with us. Any other stories anybody wants to, even if it's a story that you've heard from somebody else, that's fair game as well. There are 5 of us. And
I just remember this funny story was someone was kneeling down at Baba's tomb and a scorpion bit him off the butt.
Oh, really?
Pants off. Yeah.
Wow. Oh.
I couldn't imagine something like that happening in the holiest place in the world, but you know, if a scorpion bites you, I guess it's very painful.
Oh, yeah.
Must be significant, though, that it happened in the tomb. We never know what significance there is, but
Yeah,
it's just a mighty and awesome place. When I was trained to hand out the prasad, you probably know this, but the prasad was Baba's name. they made it very clear that as we handed out, we did it in Baba's name. That was the prasad. Yes, they may have gotten peanuts or sweets or all the various kinds of things that people would bring to be prasad. And that has stayed with me because we associate those little orange candies or whatever, but the prasad is Baba's name. And that, again, we can take with us. We can close our eyes and look at a picture, and we absolutely can spend time there. And we are looking forward to the day when the tomb will open again and the borders and the travel will happen. But meanwhile, the travel is always available.
Well, thank you, Gail. I do have to leave now, but I enjoyed it very much.
Thanks for joining, Tina.
Very sweet shares, Gail. Very sweet shares. Very, very sweet. Thank you. I was going to just say, it's Maryland, and when I was in India, I was there 6 times. I guess I always looked forward to being in the Samadhi, to wake up early, to clean the tomb, and that was such a thrill for me. I'm sorry being there one time, I think. Who else? Janaki. I can't remember the details of who was there, but the women, the cleaning women, and a few of us that gathered to be called to clean. And whatever job they gave us was, you're just so grateful to have some part in that. And my favorite of all was to clean and to dust a tomb, the gold letters. You would receive a cloth, and then you could just go over Baba's name, clean that all up with love, and just, imagine whatever. And it's been a long time. I'm only just remembering it now. As you were speaking about experiences, and I thought, I was thinking, I don't have anything to share, nothing outstanding. And then I'm like, well, what was your favorite thing in the Samadhi? I may have had some experiences with Baba, but it's fuzzy now at this point, and I guess, certain things are very personal, and you just experience it with Baba, and that's all. But cleaning the tomb was just such a joy for me. I love to wake up early, and I love to stand outside that gate, and nobody would be there, and I would just wait. And it was like a little meditation on beloved Baba. Waiting for the day to begin and just seeing how things in India happen, and the stillness and the joy and just the pure simplicity of life there. Oh, my goodness. Well, that's how it felt to me. It's not quite like that anymore, Baba, but everything has to change, so we have to accept it as His will. But again, I can't tell you enough how cleaning the letters on the tomb and reading Eternal Beloved and cleaning that over and over just would touch my heart so much. I just felt so much grace from Baba.
Were you there when Mansardi was there, Merrill?
Yes. And then she wasn't there, but when she was there, she was the one who was giving out the jobs. Very sweet. And I used to sit in her room.
They were so specific, but you have this little area to clean, and you have this little sweeping the, they divided it up into, there was, you remember that? They were very specific about sharing the work. It was
No, you're right. It's
It was
true.
a privilege.
And they did. If you came frequently, you did get everybody, you rotated, you had, it seems like you got a chance to do a little bit of everything, cleaning the threshold, the doors, the windows, dusting, washing, the floors. Oh my goodness. I have to really, that in itself is something I can meditate on and visualize. And that's a beautiful thing to see.
Oh, and a
It's been
portion.
so long. It's been 20 years, more than 20, since 2000. And it's not like I go back in that manner to think, but about that cleaning of the tomb. But that is something to remember, to never forget. That was a real gift. That was a joy. And yeah.
That's a big invitation. That's by invitation only. So people will be amazed that you met Mansari and that you got to do that service, that selfless service, where, it's an honor to be asked. It's a very select few, and they're real picky about who gets to go in and how they're trained. And of course, that's that line of the women mandali of it was just so. And it was being done for Baba. So you're in rare company, both of you. I did not, I was asked to do it one time and I had a really bad toothache. And when I woke up that morning,
I have to just tell you, I just went. I don't remember that I was being asked so much. We just showed up. I don't know. I didn't think it was, I thought it was for everybody.
That's what I remember. It was, you had to be there so early that,
that's a lot of people couldn't get up that early.
Yeah.
And so again, that's the select of that pull to be with Baba. Yeah. You can the select can be self-selection, it's drawn to the beloved. So it's, again, a very, very small group of people would ever be able to say that they had that honor, to have their small duties. And you got to watch.
Gayle, when I was younger, I remember thinking, oh boy, I wish I could come back and live here and I would be in charge, to clean. I said that would be the one thing that I would want to do the rest of my life, just be at the tomb and clean it.
We'll wrap up in just a moment, but I know that Amrit, when I was there most recently, was one of the people that and I'm trying to think if it was the 5-month. Yeah, it was the 5-month trip. Dolly was on her way out. She was being taken care of. So she was no longer able to do the duties. She was at home being taken care of. And I'm trying to think, it was election year. So that was what, 2016? It was, I'll have to think. Go back and look at it. But I think it might have been 2016. Yeah, that would have been right. It would have been 2016 into 2017. And I got to be one of her caregivers, and it was during Amar Tithi. And so many of the people who normally would have spent a lot more time were absolutely 24/7 booked. You know, they were doing the stuff. I mean, Amrit and gosh, all of her close ones, you know, Heather, you know, they were doing things 18, 20 hours a day. And so they would come and visit, but the people who were going to stay there, and I stayed shift after, I would do double shifts sometimes. And I was just so fortunate. And she was, you know, I got to,
Really?
she knew me, and from being there, and she would ask me to sing hymns. She loved the Christian hymns. And so she would want In the Garden, and so I was really very fortunate. And Schroeder would take me back, because I would do double shifts for a couple of weeks. And it was just because I was going to leave right after Amar Tithi, and Schroeder would take me back up to the NPR, which was a treat. But because he didn't want me to walk back, you know, I could walk in the morning. I'd walk over, and it was pleasant, and I just felt like I can do this. And other people would like to be able to do that, but they couldn't. They had, I guess there were between 40 and 50, maybe it's 50. It was a ton of people. I can't remember. But, well, I think we'll close up and say, let's say the beloved God prayer together. And I see Babsy, and I'll just say, Babsy, we have been spending some time. Is there a program right now at 8?
No.
Okay.
Next one is Arti.
Okay.
At 9. Yeah. 6.
Okay. Well, let's say the beloved God prayer together. And even though we're in different places, and it might not be in unison, but we all get to use our voice to talk to Baba. And then, beloved God, help us all to love you more and more and more and more, and still yet more, till we become worthy of union with you, and help us all to hold fast to Baba's Daman till the very end. Avatar, Meher Baba Ki Jai. Avatar, Meher Baba Ki Jai. Avatar, Meher Baba Ki Jai.
Thank you.
This is lovely.
Thank you for doing that.